Hello everyone. So, um, I've been looking for a lot of reviews in YouTube, and I've not a lot, but actually I haven't found any real reviews between the Sigma Contemporary 12mm f1.4 and the older rival, the Viltrox 13mm f1.4. A lot of other people are comparing, I don't know, like for the 11mm Sony f1.8, or very often I see that they are comparing this Sigma to the Samyang Rokinon 12mm f2.0, which is a very old manual or even autofocus opportunity, and a very solid choice and very cheap, of course. But regarding the price and the quality, even though it's not a 12 but a 13mm, I would say this Viltrox is the real rival, or we could say that basically the new Sigma is the rival of this older Viltrox Chinese autofocus lens. And I was really curious how they proceed and what are the differences, and therefore I bought the new Sigma. I am no affiliate, I'm no ambassador. It's a completely free independent review, and since I'm already using both lenses, I've already compared them, I've already decided which one to use in the future. I'm just making this video to show you what I found out, to have you some ideas about those lenses and their differences, and maybe give you some recommendations or even some ideas so that you can decide yourself which one is the best choice for you. So let's jump into it. First of all, Sigma. This is the newer one from last year. I mean from 2025, if I'm right. And the older the Viltrox is much older. It's like 3-4 years old already. And why I bought this Sigma is very... the reason is very simple. I'm hiking a lot and I'm doing a lot of mountain landscape, nightscape photography, which means I need a minimal weight when I'm bringing my 60-liter backpack with wild camping stuff and so on. So any camera equipment increasing the extra weight is a no-go for me. What we have to know about this lens. So 12mm, so full frame equivalent, I would say 18mm, and this f1.4 is a very bright aperture. You gain a lot of light, and therefore you can do very good nightscape photography even around ISO 1600, which is very good for a -7 EV value for a bright Milky Way photography even without an Astro tracker. And this objective, this lens, even though it's from the contemporary series of Sigma, it has something new, which is an aperture ring. And even it's a clicky one. And it has a very nice sound, very nice feedback. And you can click it to auto aperture, or every third of aperture values you can change. And it has also a very smooth manual focus ring with a very good resistance. And altogether, I would say this plastic body, even though it's plastic, it's a very good quality, very solid. You don't feel it cheap. And it's so small. It's like 68 to 70mm, and this Fuji variant is 235 grams with a 62mm filter thread on it, and it says made in Japan. So anyone who hates Korean or Chinese or any kind of other productions, even though Fuji, I'm really angry at you doing a lot of made in China products, since my Fuji X-T2 was a real build for everything tank made in Japan, and my other Fuji cameras made in China had some quality issues, but I don't want to get into it very deep. Maybe I was just unlucky. Nevertheless, Sigma very solid build and very tiny, very lightweight. I can only recommend it based on the build quality. If I go for the autofocus speed, it's a little bit slower as high performance sports lens, but in compared to the Viltrox, it might be a little bit faster because it's a newer lens. But since they are ultra wide angles, I wouldn't compare them based on the autofocus speed. The autofocus precision for both are very good. And just going back to the comparison of their build quality, the Viltrox is still full metal, although, which I've recognized, this one is not weather sealed like the newer Pro, Evo, or Lab lenses. That's a negative point for the Viltrox, since it has no any kind of weather sealing through the bayonet, and it has this USB-C port for firmware update. So I would say it's an extra risk bringing this one outdoors. On the other hand, I've bought it for nightscape photography, and I had used it a very long time. I would say like 3 years around, and I had never problems of dust or water or anything getting inside the lens. So the build quality is very solid. On the other hand, this is a 74 to 90 millimeter with 415 grams, which is quite heavyweight side, almost twice the weight of the Sigma. The filter diameter is also a little bit bigger, 67 millimeter. But that's not a huge difference, rather that it's almost like bringing with myself 2 Sigma lenses, which is a huge difference, and therefore the Sigma on the build quality is a huge pro for me. If I just show you short the bayonet, the lens mount, you can maybe see it, that it has a little bit of rubber band kind of weather sealing around the mount, and inside the camera you could also find a few, which means that for outdoor usage the Sigma has only pros and the Viltrox has a few cons, which already decides me which one I would prefer going on a longer hike or trekking. But nevertheless, jump into the most important one, the image quality. Okay, so jumping into the image quality, close focus range, we can already compare a little bit of them. I would say f1.4, we could go 200% for both lenses. Right side Sigma, left side Viltrox. You can see also on the focal length on the bottom side. And I would say both lenses perform really good. Maybe in the middle, I would give the prize to the Sigma, which is a little bit sharper in the middle. Even if I go to the side of the picture, we can see that the Sigma is holding itself better together in terms of sharpness at f1.4, which is very nice. And we can see also an example of f8. No, f5.6, sorry. So highest sharpness achieved. Again, we can put some comparison here. Both are like having a clinical sharpness. And even if I go to the side of the picture, both are putting themselves very well together. Here, I would say maybe the Viltrox is even getting more sharpness than the Sigma. But at this point, I would say there are not really much differences which would deciding which one would be better. Let's check some other pictures. We can see some macro magnifications. Left side Sigma, right side Viltrox. The color representation also seems a little bit different. I would say the Sigma is a little bit maybe cooler and the Viltrox has a little bit warmer tones. And here I think we would say that the Viltrox might have a tiny little bit of better macro magnification. I think the difference is very minimal. On the other hand, I think the Sigma has maybe a little bit of better details if we are doing macro, and we can see also the bokeh. Yeah, because of the focal length, the Viltrox would be a little bit better choice, having some nice bokeh balls, but both bokeh are very smooth, very creamy. And let's be honest, these wide angles, we are not buying them for having nice bokeh balls in the background, because it's a very rare situation that we are doing such a team, and we would rather use these lenses for nightscape f1.4, or we would use them f8, f16 for landscape photography, which could be also a very interesting point. For example, landscape photography, shooting sun stars. That was a really interesting topic for me. If you buy it only for landscape, I have to say, anyhow, I was trying a lot of movements and a lot of angles, and with this Sigma on the right side with f16, I couldn't get any better sun star, which was a really huge negative point for me. On the other hand, I'm buying this lens for nightscape photography, so this is not really the most important for me. On the other hand, the Viltrox has not the nicest, but a quite acceptable, very good sun star at f16. So here I would give the winning to the Viltrox. On the other hand, we can already see some blue flaring from the Viltrox, and also at f2.8, having a comparison, we can see that the Viltrox has a minimal flare and ghosting, but I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's there. While the Sigma, I don't know how they did it, but they have nothing. I couldn't achieve any kind of flare or ghosting. There's nothing throughout the whole picture. Sigma has a very good resistance against it. So here, at least, Sigma has a very nice winning point. And then we can compare another topic, which I would say, let's look for some f1.4 photos. I'll have to reset them. So without any editing, we will see here vignetting, sharpness, and chromatic aberrations. f1.4, left side Viltrox, right side Sigma. First vignetting, I'm correcting them both at the same time. Yeah, Viltrox maybe around 2. I think Sigma rather 2.5 EV. So Sigma has a little bit of more vignetting, which is not very ideal. But we have to say that the Viltrox is basically big because of the bigger size and smaller focal length. It has a better vignetting characteristic, but it's not so terrible on both sides, although you will always need a correction. So that's a negative point on both sides. So no one is a winner here. But infinity focus, infinity sharpness, 200%. We can say the Sigma has again a little bit better sharpness on the middle, a little bit more contrast, and Viltrox has some kind of bluish chromatic aberration thingy. Anywhere I go, I can see that a little bit it has some blur together with the blue sky. On the other hand, the Sigma has more contrast, which is very nice, but they have a little bit of this little purplish magenta chromatic aberration, which is not terrible, I have to say. So it could be much worse. It's, if you are just pixel peeping, you can find some of it, but it's absolutely not terrible, but it's there. In terms of corner sharpness, I would say 300% magnification. I would say the Viltrox might be a tiny bit sharper on the extreme corner, which is interesting because in the middle the Sigma is better. Let's say we'll check it also with f8. If we are checking like that, Viltrox is more than very good. It's almost excellent sharpness, while the Sigma is getting better, but it's just the good, maybe barely a very good sharpness. I wouldn't say it's excellent. It's very, very far from excellent. It's useful, it's good enough, but it's not perfect, not at all. If we check the middle of the picture, again, 300% magnification. The Viltrox is gaining a lot of contrast, but they are not getting much more extra sharpness because they were already very sharp in the middle. And the chromatic aberration is still there on the Sigma. It's better with the Viltrox, but yeah, I would say the corners are always a winner on the Viltrox side, which is really interesting because it's an older lens, and although probably it's for the bigger size, it has less optical limitations. Another thing I would like to show you guys is shooting stars. Left side Viltrox, right side Sigma. Of course, the star size will be different because of the focal length. Both 200% magnification. We can see the Viltrox has the antigmatism, which I really don't like personally, and that was one really annoying topic for me with the Viltrox, that I always had to correct it somehow or blend it with panorama or Vertorama shooting. I left out the corners of the Viltrox nightscape photos, and we can see that the Sigma has a little bit less corner sharpness, of course, which we've already discussed it, and it has a little bit more chromatic aberration, but the star forming is somehow more natural. And of course, in the middle of the picture, it's also quite good. I'll try to find the same stars. We can see Sigma is sharper in the middle, and therefore, and also gaining more light with the same setup, the same settings. So for astrophotography, I would say the Sigma is better, although this very ugly chromatic aberration has to be removed always. So we have no clear winner here. If you like a little bit more focal length, a little bit more room for a wide angle nightscape photography, then the Sigma is better for you. If you hate correcting chromatic aberrations, then the Viltrox might be a better choice for you. In the corners, both are not excellent, sadly. Therefore, there is no clear winner. And the light gathering of the Sigma may be a bit better, just a tiny bit better, except of the vignetting in the corners. So again, if in the middle of the picture it's more important for you, you can get the Sigma. But basically, there are no huge differences, rather this antigmatism, which I've showed you. That's a very ugly thing. If you hate these star crossing forms, then the Viltrox is sadly a no-go for you. And from that perspective, the Sigma has much better characteristic, but that's just one aspect from the many. So yeah, I have to give you a summary, or at least my recommendation, and my recommendation would be, I'll be honest with you, I'll keep the Sigma. I really like this little lens, and as I've mentioned, I go a lot of times into the Alps and into the high altitude mountain regions where I can make mountain nightscape photography, and therefore 200 or 400 grams, it's a huge difference for me for backpacking, and therefore the Sigma is a clear winner. And which I've also mentioned, the astigmatism of the Viltrox is also an annoying thing for me. On the other hand, the Sigma is no clear winner. The Viltrox has still a little bit better corner sharpness, a little bit less purple chromatic lateral chromatic aberration, and getting used, it's a better value because it's an older lens. So an older lens you can get also used in a lot of portals like MPB or any kind of similar use market. So build quality, size, and weight, and the weather sealing is an absolute winner of the Sigma. And image quality are, I would say, equal. So a little bit better middle sharpness of the Sigma, a bit better corner sharpness of the Viltrox, better flare resistance of the Sigma, and better corner sharpness, better chromatic aberration, or no chromatic aberration almost for the Viltrox. Again, little bit of better micro contrast for the Sigma maybe, and a little bit maybe more natural color representation of the Viltrox. So it's in every aspect always a win-lose scenario on each side, and you cannot really decide which one is better. I would say it's a complete equal on image quality. You can have preferences, but any which of these lenses you will get on the market, you won't regret it. Both are very high performing APS-C lenses, and for Fuji and Sony lenses, I think both you can get, and I think only the Sigma is available for Canon, and I think neither of them for Nikon, which is very sad. Anyhow, I'm really hoping that I was helpful. Maybe you could have learned something about this comparison. Maybe you have now some idea which one you'd like to get for landscape or even nightscape photography. It's not a professional comparison. I have no boards with dollar bills and so on. And I'm also not testing video autofocus since I'm not using them for any video work. It was just purely for landscape and nightscape photography, which is important for me. If it's also important for you, then maybe I could give you some idea, and I really hope that's the case. So it was me, Tamás Csizmadia, living in Germany, a Hungarian photographer and a passionate nightscaper. I wish you have a nice day, and until next time, see ya.